Siman Tov Kuf Nun Beis. We don't have any Teimanim here, do we?
Any what?
Teimanim. No. Okay.
No.
Okay. No, because they have a different meaning on this. Erev Tisha B'Av lo yochel adam masura mavsekes she'och la'achar atzois basar v'lo yishte yayin v'lo yochel shtei tavshilin. On Surah Mavsekes, you're not allowed to have shtei tavshilin, you shouldn't eat basar, and you shouldn't have yayin. V'af mashkin achem memayit b'shtiyason v'mash haragol ishtois. A person should have less of other things than other drinks that he normally does.
Water?
No, other drinks. This halacha is extremely important because this is the halacha of an introduction to the Surah Mavsekes, which has value this year. What is the Surah Mavsekes?
The meal that you eat prior to the dish.
It sounds to me like you are giving a timeline answer to the question.
Well, there is a timeline.
The translation is a meal that ends your eating for that day.
Meal that divides between before and after.
Okay, and now if you look in the Rishonim, the answer to the question seems to be that this is what we call the wind down Suda. In other words, we're starting some kind of a preparation for the tainus with this Suda. No, it's not the last, you eat until you can, and then you fast. So the last meal that you're eating is the Suda of Seconds. No, that's not the pshat. This is a Suda which has an aspect of fasting in it, and that's why you're supposed to eat less, and it has a certain structure to it. Because the Suda is a Suda of a fasting person. It's a very important concept, and this has to do with this year in particular, because this year we say you're allowed to have the Suda of Sekes, you're allowed to eat Kesuda Shlomo B'Shaitoi. Is that just a halacha, or it's saying that the Suda of Erev Tisha B'Av this year is a different kind of Suda HaMavsekes than it is regularly? Right. And that's
different.
what?
It's certainly different.
Okay, I'll agree with that because it's true, but I'm not sure if we're agreeing to the same for the same reason.
Right.
Okay, so you're supposed to now listen to the words. You're supposed to eat. You shouldn't eat maluach, dvarim shenoig behem b'shar pavim kidei sheisnahig b'frishus. What does that mean?
Refrain from
You should be on austerity.
Controlling yourself.
Right, but in other words, you're supposed to be doing the opposite of indulging. No, this is not a question of if you're fasting. It's a question of even what you're eating. You're not supposed to be eating things that are regular part of your life. You're supposed to be on a winding down mahalach. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now we're going to skip to Sifhei. Noagim lechol adoshim im beitzim mevushalim b'seicham shehei meichol ani avelim. You're supposed to be eating, I don't think a strange chunk, beans and eggs together. Shehei meichel avelim. That is a meichel avelim. V'yesh nagim mechel beitzim koshim. They eat hard eggs. V'gam ke meichel avelim. So we're supposed to be eating things which are symbolic of the fact that we are avelim.
That's even Surah Shlishi?
No, this year, this regular year.
People do the beans?
There are some people who do.
What?
Eating the beans at the Suda Mavsekes.
No.
I don't remember
I've never
saying
had that. Eggs, yeah.
that. Yeah, eggs, for sure.
separately, not even part of the
Okay.
Suda Mafsekes.
Okay. Numi she'efsher lo yochal b'suda mafsekes ela pas chareva b'melach, dried out bread with salt, v'kiton shel mayim, and a jug of water. V'yesh machrim letabel achar achilas pas ba'efer v'ochlo. They take the bread and they stick it into the ashes and they eat it. Al shem vayigras b'chatzotz. It's a pasuk that has to do with what they did in the time of the Churban. So this is what the people are knowing to do. And again, this is, the Suda is part of the happening of Tisha B'Av. Okay? What we do eat and what we don't eat. Both parts. Okay. Nogo leisha agabe karka basuda mafsekes vein tzach lachlotz manolov, but you don't have to take off your shoes. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah, Kedei sheyeh asuda shvola, v'mokom shemin hagel mechol b'aseba, v'ya heker, v'ya ochlim ata shaloi b'aseba. They would eat with aseba, so now they eat without aseba. V'yidon shekol hashana ochlim b'lo aseba, ein nikar shiflos b'zeh, mikol mokom v'odom cholosh, yuchal likach kar tachtov. You're allowed to put a pillow underneath you if it's too difficult for you to sit on the floor. Just mentioned, the Kaf HaChaim over here points out an important thought. One is not supposed to sit on the floor directly. There should always be some kind of a cloth between the person and the floor, and this has to do with the tumah that there is in the ground. And this is especially problematic on Tisha B'Av, because we're more susceptible to...
Is this considered trousers considered
No, that's part of you.
something?
You should take some kind of a paper towel or some kind of something, and put it in between. Okay. Now, yesh lizar shelo yeshvu shloisha lechol basuda mafsekes. You shouldn't have three people, shouldn't have a mezuzah by the suda mafsekes. Shelo yischayevu bezimun. Al kol echad yeshiv levadoi v'yivorach la'atzmai. Each person sits by himself and benches by himself.
What's wrong with the zimun? What's the why are we avoiding it? Simcha.
Yesh v'abadad.
Okay, but that's
Tisha B'Av.
but this is that's the same kind of an idea.
Because
Why do we eat together with people?
Because it's socially more comfortable. It's nicer to join.
Okay, so that's exactly the reason why it's
So we're
not
avoiding
done.
that social pleasantry.
Okay, now there's a very important Mishnah Berurah over here, and this is actually a machlekes. Yesh li zoyer ubediavad afim yoshu shloishloi lo yizamnu deloi chashivas kviyas. Even if they ate together, it doesn't count because we are mufka from being together. The halacha makes us not together. That's actually a machlekes, what happens if you takadiri together or not. The Mishnah Berurah paskins that we still don't make a zima.
Are we going to distinguish as the Rav goes along between what we do this year and what we do every other year?
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit. This year we don't do anything really. Just stop eating early. Okay. This has to be in your last meal. If you're planning to eat more, you don't have to do any of these things. You eat a proper meal before mincha, and the first meal you eat more than regular. You don't want the fast to have a negative effect on you. Since this is a long fast. If a person can not have to fill up to make it through the tinus, that's a fine thing to do, but that a person who does not have to top off his tank in order to make it through, he shouldn't do so. And this is a fascinating idea because a person is supposed to be suffering. Oh, this is there's a concept over here that we want you on Tisha B'Av to be suffering as much as a person can. Okay. Sif Yud, this is us. Imchol Tisha B'Av be'echad b'Shabbos. If Tisha B'Av comes out on Sunday, oishachol b'Shabbos v'nitchel achar Shabbos, oichol basar v'shoyse yayin b'asuda mavsekes. He can have basar and drink wine. Umayla shachana afilu kesuda shleima b'case malka. He can have whatever he wants. Mi yotzach lahafsik mi ba'od yom. He just has to stop eating before nightfall. Not before nightfall, but Shkia time. And this is a very important halacha. This Shabbos, you should be finished eating your shalashudas by Shkia. And this you have to bench, but you should be finished eating your shalashudas by Shkia.
So we're not going to be having a sort of Maseket this year, right?
You are, but it's going to not be different than your regular shalashudas. You don't have to have it doesn't look like the Suda of seconds.
But in the Suda Shlosh, we have a lot of different minim and a lot of different things.
Right, that's what we just learned. If it comes on Shabbos, you're allowed to eat regular, even more than regular.
If you bench after Shkia, you pay Mizamet?
I'll have to check that out.
What was the question?
If you bench after Shkia, are you mezamen? Because probably you do, but I'll check it out.
You won't be allowed to eat the food having a second, like my wife often likes, making lentils. You won't be able to eat lentils with Sudat Shalishis because it's like associated with the...
You're allowed to have the lentils. Just you're allowed to have other things too.
Yeah.
You have many Shabbos.
Okay. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
Would you be allowed to eat eggs also? Because
Yes.
You could.
Yeah.
Someone that follows the Minhagim of their sons, the Hasidus, they'd have more time, wouldn't they? They could go according to their Shaki.
That's true.
Yes.
But you know, they have the same amount of fast day as we do.
They
Just theirs starts later and ends later. You know, that's like saying that the fast is over in England later than it is in Eretz Yisrael. Is that true?
Yes.
No, but I'm just
No,
saying.
it's
No,
over. It's over when it's night.
But it's actually longer.
It's a long
though.
base
Yes,
at
it's a longer Ben Hashmash. It's actually
Very long
possible.
Yeah, but it's not. You know, it's not.
Exactly, relatively.
So you know, the question is, you know, if the Gemara says, I'll just mention this. The Gemara in Shabbos says, Ashrei those people that are Makabel Shabbos in Tveria, and they have Matzah Shabbos in Tzfasa. It's called Tzipure. Why? Because if they're in the valley, so the sun sets early, and if they're on the mountain, the sun sets late. So you can beat the system. You can have a longer Shabbos. And
There we go.
It's been a week or two.
There we go.
Get into the car park.
What should we do? Go next door.
Get into the car park.
Or you go next door?
But the car park's no safe. Yeah.
No, it is.
they say, the place over there is probably better, right?
That was good. There was no sign of savage. That was
Let me turn this off
Okay.
rather
I
than
have
trying
nobody
to.
here. All my guests.
They went to their bomb sheltering.
Yeah. Okay.
Where were we?
Okay.
So we got rudely interrupted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a fascinating halacha. The next halacha: Misha kibulav tainis sheni v'chamishi kol yemos hashana Erev Tisha B'Av lias b'sheni. So if you're going to fast, you're going to have to fast 2 days in a row.
Right.
Yishal al nidroi, because we want you to eat the surah mavsakes. O yilva tarliso porea, you switch it in for a different day. V'hagoinim kasud mis'ana achar tfilas mincha v'oichel surah mavsakes kodem b'yis hashemesh. You close to Shkia, you break your fast and you eat a Suda Mafsekes. V'chei noagim, hu adin mitzad tainitz chaloim, and on Erev Tisha B'Av, because the Suda Mafsekes is a din that you have to do. Okay. Ein omrim tchina b'Erev Tisha B'Av, v'chum mishum de'ikri moed. You don't say Tachnun on Erev Tisha B'Av because it's called a moed. And hu adin b'Shabbos say nem tzidkas chotzedek. Now, just a simple understanding of that, everybody asks, what kind of a moed is Tisha B'Av? The answer is that a moed means coming together. A moed doesn't mean a festive thing. Normally, that's what it indicates. But what it really just means is that we're having a time that we're communing with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore, whether it's a good reason or a not so apparently good reason, it's still a connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu that's heightened, and because of that, we don't say Tachnun.
Why doesn't it apply to other Tanyas?
Because they're not a Mayit.
I'm saying why? We're still getting together to commune.
But it's not at that level. This level is a higher level. As it is in all aspects of the fast. Okay. Next sif. Next siman. Afal pi shalach suda mafsekes mutar lachzor v'lechol elam ken kivu lo beferish lo lechol od hayom. If you finish the suda mafsekes, it doesn't automatically mean that you're not allowed to eat unless you said before you're going to. The Kabbalah shabalev ain't a Kabbalah alatzach lahitzi b'svasov. You have to say beforish that you're going to be makabel the fast. Okay. Tisha B'Av leila kiyomoy l'chol davar ve'en oichlin ela mi ba'od yom uve'en hashmasa shaloi osa kiyom ha'kippurim. Umuter berachitza v'sicha nils hasandal ben hashmashas. You're allowed to do all the chamisha inuyim until shkia. Miu b'chol nogim lachletz manol of kodim she'ever Baruch Hu. You take off your shoes before you say Baruch Hu. V'mushabes cholzen achar Baruch Hu. B'vash liach tzibur she'choletz kodim Baruch Hu, because he can't take them off after Baruch Hu. Okay? Rak oimer tchila Baruch HaMavdil. Okay. Now here comes the halacha that's nageh this year. V'nago shelo lilmod be'erev Tisha B'Av mechatzos ve'elech ki midvar v'mutar b'Tisha B'Av. The minhag is on Erev Tisha B'Av not to learn things that are non-Tisha B'Av related. V'lachein imichol v'Shabbos ain't oimer Pirkei Avos. You don't say Pirkei Avos. V'chein lo yitayil be'erev Tisha B'Av. You're not supposed to be taking a spatzir. You're not supposed to be taking a trip, a walk.
So even the food wars, we make a distinction on Shabbos regarding this mitzvot.
How does that work together with eating like small melachs and not learning?
All right, I'm going to answer the question. There are certain things which are, this is. I'm going to start, I don't want to get in too much trouble over here, get too involved. There is a mitzvah of chinuch. Is there a mitzvah of chinuch to not have a kid eat milk after meat?
Yes. It's not mitzvah of chinuch, but it's a good thing to get them used to.
Yeah, but I asked the question.
You're talking about
No, you don't have to.
talking about when he said gil chinuch.
Obviously, I'm talking what he said.
No.
Over 7 or whatever.
The answer is no.
Why is there none?
It's automatic.
Because it's a negative.
It's the Rabbanan.
You don't have to negatives. You don't have to.
The child sees the parents, not that. It's not that he's going to tell the parent.
He sees the parents keep Shabbos also.
Huh?
He sees the parents keep Shabbos also.
Yeah.
So it means he doesn't have to keep Shabbos.
All right, mitzvah of chinuch, the pashtus is only on a positive thing. There's no mitzvah of chinuch on a loisase. Mitzvah of chinuch is you train him to do the right thing, not you train him not to do the wrong thing. There's no mitzvah of chinuch to have your kid not steal.
Seems like very basic chinuch.
It's not chinuch. It's a frusha meisur. It's a different. It goes with a
We
different,
just finished.
a different.
It's a little hard to understand why
That's very
you're
hard to understand.
not training, like you're
Exactly,
training
yeah.
to do stuff. Like benching, you're
Right.
not training not to do stuff. It's a little hard to understand.
Okay, well, because the reason why is because everybody over here has a general picture. Chinuch is to train your child to act as a responsible adult from an adult. That is not technically correct. That could be that if you put all the things that we have in, that will come up with that kind of idea, but it's made out of many different parts and they come from different places. And, there's machilin, you're not allowed to be machil a kid something that's not kosher. So therefore you're not allowed, there's like a chinuch to not to eat things that are not kosher. But that's not because of the mitzvah chinuch.
It's mitzamtzim as well.
No!
It's not-
It has nothing to do with it. It's
No,
a
it's different.
safinon. It's a different, it's Isser. Okay? This one of the things of a tam to live has nothing to do with chinuch. And I just,
So you don't give it to him
it's
to
a
eat
separate thing.
because it's mitzamtzim.
No. There's only one place where I know where it says that. It says that about having him eat the milk of a non-Jewish, and there it's kosher.
It says it by adults if they eat treif that it's mitzamtzim. No?
But there's no Isser.
It was for the child.
There's no Isser for an adult. It's not an Isser. It has a negative effect on you. It's not usher to smoke, but it doesn't make it healthy, right? The two things are not, they don't go together. You're not supposed to have...
It's not healthy, it's us.
That's not true.
What's Ushmartim?
What type of food? I'm sorry. What type of food are we talking about?
If a babe, in the olden times, they didn't have
Wet nurse.
a wet nurse.
Okay.
So a goyish, a wet nurse, you should not have a child take from a goyish and a wet nurse because it will have a negative effect on him.
Okay.
Now it happens to be the milk of a goyish, a wet nurse, is kosher.
Even for an adult.
Even for an adult.
That's
It's
when the
100%
Rav
kosher.
said even for an
Right.
adult it was correct.
Right, it's 100% kosher. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a negative effect.
Mhm.
And I'll just tell you, next week's Parsha, Veschanan, has a fantastic halacha to it. The Gemara darshans in the Pasuk Veschanan that when they're going to go to Milchama, then they're going to be allowed to eat the treifus, the dekuli de chazira. You're allowed to eat in the Milchemes of the pork of the goyim. Whatever you find during the war, you're allowed to eat, and does not have to have a badatz on it. It's 100.
If you don't have...
No, it's not true.
Even if you have a choice.
Yes. That's according to most places, and there's nothing to do with choice. It became mutter, and the Netziv and the Meshech Chochmah all say even though that it's mutter, it's going to have a negative effect. But and similarly, if a person for Pekuach Nefesh has to eat non-kosher food, according to most places, it will have a negative effect on him. In other words,
separate things. Well, you
what?
have to do in the effect of separate things.
right,
It's like the thing of the Yafis Torah, isn't it? The same thing.
has no connection. You don't eat the Yifas Torah.
No, I mean, you're allowed to be with a Yafis Torah, but you're saying will have a negative effect.
How do you know it'll have a negative effect? How do you know the Yifas Torah will have a negative effect on you?
Rashi says,
more.
Avsham.
And then up with a difficult child.
You'll hate her.
It doesn't happen to be the illegal hater.
Torah says you will.
No, but it doesn't. In other words, the Yifas Torah, there's a question about the offspring of Yifas Torah. But how does your Aveira, it's going to, does it have to bring about a hate between you? I don't know that says that somewhere. Okay. Now here is a Mishnah Berurah. We're
It
going to
really
do.
does have an effect because Rashi tells us the fact that because it starts off with the fact of it leads to one, it leads to a
Yeah, so you marry a Yifas Torah, you'll have a Ben Sarah Moira.
Right.
Okay. Now,
That's a negative effect.
1 second.
Okay, isn't that?
I want to make this clear. I did an Aveira, or I did something wrong, and my son suffers. Is that called a negative effect?
You're suffering from it too.
Yeah.
Why am I suffering?
Yes.
Look what with David HaMelech when he had.
Why am I suffering?
What happened with David
If he
HaMelech?
chooses to suffer, then he suffers.
The
The son that's born is the offspring of the action. That's not your negative
If
effect.
that kid starts off in
What does it do to you?
You lose hair over it.
it affects you.
It does.
It affects you. It affects you mentally. It affects you maybe physically.
Financially.
Yeah. There's an effect to it.
Listen, I'm not arguing with what you're saying, but when we're discussing that a person does something and it affects him, we're not talking about this,
Talking about you directly.
right? These are indirect things, right?
So if you eat a treif and you're allowed to eat treif, so
Affects you directly.
that is
Right.
because
It'll cause you to have timtum, right? No, that's what we're talking about. It's not to say everything that you do. You know, you speak Lashon Hara, it also affects you, right? Everything affects you, but in different ways. Okay. So why you're not supposed to learn? The Torah mesameches aleim mikol mokum kol zeh eino midina da muter b'tisha b'av midina kol chamesh shinui me'ikar atam mishum diyochel lilmod dvar ma'mutar b'tisha b'av. So you should immerse yourself in learning those things. V'nei harbi achronim mashma shetafsu b'negzeh v'lo iru alav. Many poskim accepted this. Afilu m'chal b'Shabbos.
They accepted not to learn.
Right after Chatzos.
I think here we did the short year, no?
Yeah, we're going to do that this year too. Fa'afilu m'chal b'Shabbos. V'skimu kam achronim l'sna k'mo shekos v'rabah v'echtav l'kameh. Omnom kol zachar piklikum od al minegzeh v'risha l'kol urashal v'kos v'olav shalom v'atzma chachatzos v'hitter gam l'cherim b'zeh. He did it, and he told other people you're allowed to do it. V'gam ha'groba b'yiru kos of the chumur yiserahi v'chein amar Mordechai v'sifov barach b'zeh. Because I do maybe a hard bailey day bittul Torah, people don't learn with the same zest when they're learning what they're forced to learn and they're not interested. Then Adam loibit al mashli b'chofetz al kain daitu lahakol b'sev kasav the kain hayanoig ayin shom v'chein achayodam kasav du chumra ba'alma al kainir the misha writes lahakol b'zeh ein moichin biyodai. Okay. V'chein imchal b'shanis hayna afilu Erev Tisha B'Av shechal b'Shabbos Einam Pirkei Avos the whole kalim Torah the hayno achar chatzos the kol chatzos mutar b'limud Torah afilu keshachal b'Shabbos. Okay, Eina ataz mafakmek v'od al miliyas halim b'Shabbos u'mesayim da'alemi b'Shabbos achar chatzos lo hifsid scharoi. Now, I'm just going to share with you what the Acharonim are busy with. What does the word lo hifsid scharoi mean?
Lose out, but lose.
Yeah, but which schar are you not going to lose?
Reward for the
I want to ask you a question. I asked this question to my Rashiva probably close to 40 years ago. This is what I call a nudnik question. Okay? And it was asked more or less in that, the halacha is if a person is in the bathroom and in order to not have machshavas, which he's not allowed to have, he's allowed to think and learning. So I asked him if a person does that, is he mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah?
You're not allowed to make you learning in the Torah.
But in this situation, you are, right?
that is funny.
No, because really you're not allowed to.
It says mefurish in this case you're allowed to.
At the very least, it demotes you to any mitzvah also.
You're a mitzvah v'aisa.
You're not supposed to.
In this case,
You're
specifically.
doing it to prevent
Okay,
something else.
I wanna just right now read the halacha that we said right now and introduce you to a thought. A person is learning Torah on Tisha B'Av. To not learn Torah on Tisha B'Av is an Isser D'Rabbanan, correct? Learning Torah is a mitzvah d'oraisa.
That's the Torah.
Blowing shofar is a mitzvah d'oraisa.
Did
And we don't do it when it's not
I
Shabbos.
asked you a question. How could you say I'm not Makayim Limud Torah if I'm doing what the Torah says I should be doing?
Because the Chacham override it in certain cases. Hashem al Tasa, they override it.
If you're learning Torah next to someone that's not properly dressed, you'd be yomsek a mitzvah of learning Torah.
100%.
Doesn't mitzvah properly available? No.
I want to tell you something. You could have it all. You could have your mitzvah and your avera. Why do you have to say that one knocks the other one out? You learn Torah and you're over learning in a place where you weren't supposed to. How does it make it not limud Torah?
If I consider avera lishma or something like that.
Avera lishma means something else. But over here, no, I'm
If
asking.
someone learns Torah in order that he should become famous, does he get schar for limud?
לא נשמע.
That's called shalei lishma.
Right?
Now, I want to ask the question. Haloi me b'Shabbos achar chatzos lo hifsid schoroi. What schar is he not losing out on?
Following
You made a Torah?
Start listening to the Chacham.
Okay, that could be. But if a person would be hifsid schoroi, he would still be makayim the mitzvah of limud Torah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but
We're doing it totally.
simultaneously.
It's totally lishma then, no schar.
Simultaneously.
Right. No, this is the question. This is a big discussion how to learn this lo hifsid schoroi. What schar are you supposed to use? And now I'm going to take this to another place, which is a fascinating thing. At Tisha B'Av, a person is not supposed to learn, except for Dvarim HaMutarim. Yesh Chakira Ba'achroinim is that there's no mitzvah of limud Torah on Tisha B'Av, just that Dvarim HaMutarim are allowed, or there's a mitzvah of limud Torah on Tisha B'Av like all other times, and you're just supposed to be learning these things. Two very different thoughts.
Nafkamid is very big. You get schar of limud Talmud Torah.
Yeah. Right. Okay, and this is...
It's the same thing, right? Isn't it by certain medicines and stuff? Is it huter or...
I don't know. Medicine.
Was it a mitzvah did or was it muter? No, whatever. I forget the term.
Hutra T'chuya?
Huter is yes. That's what it's the same thing we're talking now.
No. It's Torah is Mesamech, and therefore on Tisha B'Av you're not supposed to be learning. Right? Now, things which are not Mesamech there is a heter to learn them. Or you have a chiyuv to learn, like all times. Just here you have to learn something that's not so Mesamech. That's two totally different concepts. Right? Yes.
We usually have Avos Barim from at 5 o'clock. What we usually do if it's Erev Tisha B'Av is we get someone to talk to all the kids about Tisha B'Av, but that way the fathers are going to miss out learning with their sons. But they're going to be doing it the right way.
Okay.
Of getting someone to talk
I
about
think that's fine. All right. Okay, so we'll leave this right now as a. I'll just add in one fascinating halacha in Hilchos Aveilus. I know this as a fact. Reb Chatzkel Abramsky, when he was an Avo, he learned regular
During the shiva.
during the shiva.
For him, it's too much of a high price. It's like life.
So that's basically, he has a Tosefta, that this Tosefta says that when you're bitzar, when you're not learning, you're not novel's not mechuyev to be bitzar, and the person who's going to be bitzar, he is allowed to learn. All right. So that thought, I don't know if it applies on Tisha B'Av, even though that this is just like Hilchos Aveilus, but here you're supposed to actually be bitzar. Okay. Okay. Now. We're going to skip Tess. Tafkuf Nun Dalet Tess. You're allowed to wash them to remove the dirt that's on them. You just should be washing, spot cleaning, wherever you have to do that. Now, the poskim say that you don't have to spot clean, with a microscope. You just shouldn't be doing anything that's extra. You should only wash your hands until Kishrei Espoiso, because anything more than that, we view it as Rechitza Shel Tainug. After you dried your hands and they're a bit damp, Ma'aviram al Einov, you're allowed to put them on your eyes. And if you have to wash all your eyes off to get the smegma out of your eyes, you're allowed to do it. The Havale Ketitutzoya, we perceive in halachically like dirt. What are
we afraid of? That the drips are going to drip into your mouth? Is that what
No,
we're afraid of?
Pleasurable.
it's to wash.
And but why I'm saying it's not because you're going to drink it, because it's a pleasure.
Yeah. I'll just share with you a question that I was asked today, and I didn't give the person an answer. Someone asked me, they have a carpet before their house, like a welcome mat.
Right.
Asked me if you're allowed to wash that in the 9 days. And I told him I think so. So then he said, is that a question? I said, it's a very good question. So he said, why? I said, because the halacha is that you're not allowed to wash towels and you're not allowed to wash tablecloths. I don't wear my tablecloth. Do you wear your tablecloth?
No, not usually.
Okay.
You lean on it, you get benefits.
Okay. So, and you walk on a mat, you can walk barefoot also,
You
right?
can, but most people
Right?
can't, yeah.
So why is it
You can.
that I should be able to wash my carpet and I cannot wash my tablecloth? It's a question. I have, I think, about 70% of the answer ready. Okay.